I wanted to play something for you. We have an interview with the band Art in America, which is going to be a whole lot of fun for you. And they're already sitting here with me. But what I wanted to do was start off this interview by playing a track from their initial album that was released in 1983. And this is the title track to the album, which was called Art in America. It was a self-titled album. And then we're going to come back with the band and talk about not only this album, but the fantastic brand new one that I've been playing for about 6 months now. So everybody get comfortable, get your favorite drink. When we come back, we will be with Art in America. You're listening to The Waiting Room in the House of Prog.
So welcome to new time.
And I'm back, and I'm here with the folks, the fine folks of Art in America. I have Chris, Catherine, and Dan with me. How are you doing, folks?
Great.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Really good.
So let me tell you the story as it happened to me with Art in America. I heard the album way back in '83, and I thought it was a really, really cool album. And then kind of the band disappeared. And then all of a sudden, last year, at the end of the year, this album from Art in America comes out. I start playing and I say, okay, this is the old album. This has got to be like a remaster of the old album. And it wasn't. And it was amazing. Great album. Really proud. You guys should be really, really proud of what you put out there. It's incredible. So I'll send this question out to all of you. So can we have a little bit of history of the band and how you guys got started? And, because you put an album out produced by Eddy Offord. That was the album in 1983. That's pretty crazy.
I guess I'll take it. This is Chris, okay. And we started playing bars, and we had a name called Father. And our other sister, played the violin in that band, and Catherine was on harp, who was called Shishonee on the album, of course. And so we were playing bars and things of that nature around listening. They were called listening clubs. We had a top 40 set also, so we had two different types of music that we could play at depending on where we got booked. And we did that for about maybe 4 or 5 years. And then we decided at a certain point to try to get a record deal. And we stopped doing the bars because we didn't really like that very much. So then we started playing around Detroit, and we got some notice from a woman named Gail Pereno, who was booking big shows there. And she happened to know a couple of hot managers in New York City, and she brought them along, and then they just started bringing out record company moguls. And we had just about every major label come out and see the band at some point. We had John David Kolodner, David Geffen's guy, I forget what his last name was, Rosenstein or something like that.
Rosenblatt, yep.
And Capitol Records was out more than once, 3 or 4 times. Just a lot of different labels. We finally ended up going with a smaller label, and they hooked us up with Eddy Offord, which was a hero of ours. So that's kind of, we could go deeper into the...
Yeah, go ahead. We have time.
Well, Chris, tell them about when you guys were with Seeger's management back. Before I wasn't even in the band.
That was a different band. Yeah, that was a
different band. It was still Father.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. They were signed with Seeger's management, Bob Seeger's management. That's Punchy Andrews.
Punch Andrews, yeah.
And that's when I was in junior high, and I was listening to your music upstairs while you guys are playing in the basement, and I was just in awe of how. Because he's my older brother. I absolutely love his songwriting, and I've always just been the little brother who just adored the music. And eventually that band broke up, and then I ended up joining the band with my 2 sisters, and we did play the bars. And then we decided to do Art America, which was original music, which attracted all these record companies, and we were playing a lot of big shows, and we were doing pretty good, and ended up with CBS, with Eddy, who I absolutely love. Eddy Offord was a really, really, really great man and a great producer. I've always thought that.
Right. And I think the way I came on board was I was in a traveling music group that traveled all around the country, and we lived in a bus, and there was about 12 to 15 of us, and we were folk musicians, and I had a folk harp. And then those, Chris and some of the other people that were in the original lineup, I came back to Detroit when the Trees group, which was the name of that group that I was in, when they broke up, and I heard the music, and I was like, oh man, I got to be a part of that. And so I jumped on board and found a way to electrify my harp, and brought a lot of the unusual Oriental instruments that I had played in the trees, like koto and tambura and chang and some weird instruments, and that kind of brought a different flavor to the group, so that it became more prog oriented and a little more like Genesis type stuff. And we started developing our own style at that point.
Yeah, and then it's one of the very few bands with an electric harp.
Yes. Well, actually, it's one of the first bands. I think there's Andres Vollenweider and
John Anderson.
John Anderson did have electric harp, and I believe Elias of Sun Hillow.
The best album ever written, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Really? So we have two fans of Elias of Sun Hillow.
Oh my God, that is the best album
ever. I listen to that every spring outside fishing with my other brother, and we always put that on a beautiful spring day fishing, and it just takes you away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might be. I mean, his new album is pretty good. I mean, it's really very good, Thousand Hands, but it is not Elias of Sun Hillow.
No, it isn't. It isn't. It just isn't. That first album, it's amazing how, he takes you through this brilliant little journey and all these little, and how he developed all the patterns and melodies, and it just goes. And it's flawless. I remember reading a review about that, saying that they figured out that John Anderson was definitely the genius of that band from the solo records.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of bands, when they do their first band, they kind of exhaust all their creativity in the first album. Or a lot of it, not all of it necessarily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys didn't do that.
Well,
your second album, I know it took a long time, but
it did.
Your second album is every bit as good or better than the first album.
Well, we've never stopped writing. It's just that we got so fed up with the industry that we kind of lived our lives for a good while. But the band never stopped writing, and I'd take trips to Detroit, and they'd join me on certain tracks, quite a few of the tracks actually, and I'd get their feedback, and then Catherine would put some harp down, and Dan would put some drums down, and so we never stopped writing. And also there was another little period in the mid '90s where we were playing as Art in America, but Catherine was teaching at that time and wasn't part of that particular band, but that band didn't last.
So did everybody go about their own business, have kids, jobs, and it just got in the way of the music, or was it really a disenchantment with the music industry in general?
Well, I'm speaking for myself now.
Mm-hmm.
It never got in the way of the music. We always were into the band, and we always were writing. So it's just that you're living life and you're raising kids, or in me and Catherine's case, we're raising kids and getting all involved in that. And and to this day, this is why this album is put out by ourselves, because I'm just tired of submitting this music to people. It's just, maybe that's just my own issue, but
I get it. I mean, to be honest with you, it is the same story I hear. The music industry has changed to such a point at this time that it's very, very hard for creative musicians, because they have to be business people too if they're going to do it correctly. And a lot of musicians and creative people are not business people. And because there are no real record companies, unless your name is Beyonce,
right.
That leaves it in the hands of the musicians, and have almost turned music into a cottage industry. The previous way that things were done is gone. It's just gone.
Well, that's a blessing in a way, because I'm so sick of those. I'm sick of those guys, all those record guys with 10 ears who couldn't. I mean, let's face it, they can't look what they've given us.
They
We
wouldn't
only
know Elias of Sun Hillow if it hit them in the face.
Absolutely not. And if they did hear it, they mock it. Because I know those guys. I know them. They do mock it. They mock us because I know them. And they do that. And there are some few people out there. There's some few record companies that are giving back. Jack White with Third Man Records. I'm working with him right now in my other band, which was a Detroit group, and we were signed to Third Man Records, and it's called the Algebra Brothers, and we're very much like from Detroit, and there's
that's sort of like prog meets punk. It's really interesting. Prog meets punk.
Well, that's interesting. I am getting the same message I get during every interview I do, and it's from the same person too, and it's idiot. Play the music. So what I'm going to do is play some music from the new album. I'm just going to play the first 2 tracks,
Okay.
2 short tracks, and we'll come back. The new album is called Cloudborn, and it's taken a long time to get out, but I'm going to play 2 tracks for you, A Tale of the Unexpected and I Am I. Now, personally, I think I Am I should be on the radio. It should be like one of the most played songs on adult FM radio.
Oh, I think so too.
So,
I love it.
So let's play them and we'll come back in about 8 minutes. You are listening to new music from Art in America on the House of Prog.
Chronic and habitual liar!
back, and I'm here with the fine folks, actually the fine family of art in America. These people are brothers and sister, correct?
Right.
Everybody's related. Everybody grew up together. So, and I'm guessing Chris is the oldest.
No.
No.
I am.
Oh,
I am.
Okay. All right.
But he's the second oldest.
Okay. And then Dan is the baby, right?
Right.
Ah, very good. So wanted to talk a little bit. The track you just heard was called I Am I. And to me, I've got to say, there to me is no reason at all why that track couldn't have been an absolute killer hit on AOR, adult oriented radio. And like you said, you haven't started really working it yet, so maybe it will be.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we're definitely pretty proud of that song. That song was one of the 6 that David Hentschel picked out of about 72 songs that I sent him.
72.
Yeah, 72 songs. He picked 6 to start with, and then for the second round for another album, he picked another 17. And those haven't been done yet, but one of those songs is on this new album. And two of those songs is on this new album. But in terms of I Am I, that kind of came into being by it started with a New Yorker cartoon I saw, and it was just a bunch of worshipers standing around a hole in the ground, and one of the guys says, "I don't know, George, looks just like a big hole to me." And I just thought it was a cool line, and I just started messing with that line, and I was fairly alienated in those days, so this was about 4 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago, and I just started thinking about how my life fell off the family tree, and I just kind of talked about myself, and the first verse is sort of about me as a young man, and then the second verse is starting to get it together, and then the little middle intro is sort of an ode to Dan and his wildness and his
Insanity.
It's no. You just have fun with life, and
Same thing.
yeah, well, that's what some people would call insanity, I guess. And I was rather reckless in my youth, and I guess I still sort of am in some ways. But by the last verse, it's just sort of about finally gaining some ground and finding a plan and living with some kind of purpose.
It's a self-acceptance. That's what it's about. The song is about to me, and I guess that's true. And I've asked people what songs are about, and they said, "Don't ask me what it's about. What's it about to you?" And to me, it's about self-acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to put it. And I'd like to speak a little bit about the fantastic harp parts that Catherine has.
Oh, yeah.
We call her Shishonee on the record, of course. But anyways, yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well,
the name?
Yeah.
Speak about that.
I have a fascination for Native American culture.
I figured you had to, yeah.
Yeah, and a great respect for indigenous people. And I stood up in high school at my boarding school, and they said, they were calling everybody's name, and I said, "My name's not Catherine Rutnick, it's Shishonee." And with
It's stuck.
so it's stuck, and it's stayed that way.
Not now.
Well, yeah. I mean, can you?
Liar.
As an art teacher, yeah, I kind of put that aside. As an art teacher, I became Mrs. Krupa. But yeah.
So you are an art teacher now?
Yes.
What
well,
grades?
I teach. Well, I just retired a week ago, so it's art. Yeah, but
I did that for 17 days once.
Oh my God! So I worked kindergarten through 5th grade.
Oh, great. That's wonderful.
But anyway, back to what you were saying.
Oh yeah, I was just commenting on your harp parts. They just float over the top, and they're syncopated in there. Right, totally. When I'm not singing, she's playing a little melody. It's just fantastic.
Chris,
yeah.
There's a line in that I Am I that is a really cool line. It's about when The righteous come your way, will you run? What is that
right.
line?
We're not really sure. It's just I was thinking about you, and that whole
I
middle
love
part
that
is
line.
yeah. I'm not really sure. I couldn't tell you. It's wordplay. Most of the other lines in that song make a lot of sense to me, and they are supposed to make a lot of sense. But yeah, I couldn't tell you what that means. When the righteous come, will you run? Who knows? It just seems like there's always a righteous on one side or the other, and so there's always a person who is not righteous and not part of the mob. So it just was thinking maybe about the gladiator and the mob, and
When was that song written?
probably 2011, I think, maybe
Okay.
2010.
Okay. That's interesting because sometimes you have to look for context. You know,
Yes.
what was happening at the time when you write something. And you don't always notice it when you write it, but when you look back on it, you go, yeah, this is what was happening. So, yeah, that can be
Right.
cool. But
Agreed.
yeah, a very
Totally agree.
introspective song. Very introspective.
Yeah, and we really like Tony Levin's bass playing on that one as well.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
fantastic. And
Yeah,
then
he's a fair bass player.
yeah,
Yeah, that's funny. That's
Yeah.
Tony,
And
I
I
hope
like-
you're not
He's a
listening.
master.
Tony, I
Actually,
hope you're not
I-
listening tonight.
I know. Hentschel also added some nice string parts in that
Yeah.
are very complimentary. You can't hear them they're way back there, but they're pretty cool.
Yeah. So who else? Could you talk a little bit about who else guested on the album?
Okay, let's see. Well, there's a lot of people on this album besides Tony Levin. There's
Right.
back in the old days there's 3 tracks from 1983 that were part of a 17 song demo we did for our managers that were shopping it around for a producer. And 3 of the songs on this were done in that one session. And that's the last song, which is a trilogy of 3 songs actually, and then a song called No Wonder and a song called Don't Look Down.
Mhm.
And there's a different keyboardist that was playing with us back then, a woman named Karen Ormiston. And then we also have Gary Galloway on a lot of these tracks, who did a little bit of keyboard work to a few Moog parts, and we added some Mellotron to the last track of the album.
You have to.
Just
Yeah.
you can't live you can't live without Mellotron.
Oh, yeah.
Out of the Mellotron. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, we didn't touch the songs. Those songs, they're completely as they were, except for that little bit of Mellotron and Moog.
Mhm.
And let's see, what guys can you think of? Who else is on this? Like this?
T. Labbits was on the first record,
Well, yeah, that's the first record.
and Steve Morse, which we're talking about all the people that have helped us in our careers.
Steve
Those-
Morris or Steve Morse?
Steve Morse from Dixie Dregs.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, Morse.
Yeah. He's playing this weekend down in Nashville.
Well, he did this. He did the solo in Undercover Lover.
Huh.
Because I had fallen off a bicycle down there and broke my shoulder, and I couldn't do the. We had left that guitar solo for one of the last few days we were down there, and so he did it for us. And he also did the arrangements on this. He on that album. He worked with us in terms of arranging moving some verses around and that kind of thing.
He's a fair guitarist, right? Just like Tony Levin's a fair bassist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Now, in our bass player, I keep cutting out, so I'm missing a little bit of it, but our bass player, Jim Kua, was mixed the final tracks, and I think he did an outstanding job, and so he added some additional parts.
Production on the album's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Jim Kua played bass on the first record.
yeah,
Right.
he did.
Great.
Yeah, just a great bass player. Wrote, he was part of the band. That's a whole nother story. But he's a very talented bass player and producer.
Yeah, we've got from the session that three of the older songs that are added onto this. There's still another 13 songs that are going to come out. We're just in the middle of mixing them, and it's quite a job.
Is that album 3?
Yeah, well, the
Yeah.
album 3, and there's all kinds of other music as well. So
Well, then we're also going to do album 4, or it'll be reverse order. We want to do a lot of our live songs from live shows, and those are where the band really shined, I think.
Well, the very fact that we didn't what am I looking for? Didn't help me, Chris.
I don't know what you're going to say.
I don't either.
Well, I mean, to the live, I think the band really, really did an
That's what
excellent job of building and developing a song that when you put it on a record, it gets tightened up, shortened.
Mm-hmm.
But when you play it live, it might be 15, 20 minutes. So the live pieces sometimes are just amazing. So I'd like to see that maybe as the 4th or 5th album, depends.
Is there any plans for the album for the band to play live?
Well, we'd sure like to. It's I've got to quit working to do that, and I'm getting close now.
You're fired.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was planning on working another couple of years, and I'm looking for something simple so I can get back to music, because I'm planning on going back to Detroit and doing a little recording of the drums, because I've got a whole lot of songs that I need Dan's drums on, and realizing that that's sort of backwards, because it's really kind of better to record a song with the band,
Right.
to get that swing. Mm-hmm. That you need to have when everybody's playing with the drummer and following a drummer. It's kind of backwards.
And it's so hard nowadays. You know, like I say, there's no record company, so there's no money behind it. And, you know, they've turned music into a basement studio kind of affair where everybody, you know, you have bands. I've got to tell you, some fantastic bands, too, that have never played together.
Yes.
You know, they do their own pieces. They send everything, you know, to each other. There's a central person who mixes it. And it sounds fantastic. And it sounds like they're in the room, but they're not.
Right.
You can tell. You can tell.
Well, sometimes. Well, you know, part of the art of what's going on with finding people who really know how to produce and mix and master are people who can make it sound that way.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But, you know, I tell people all the time, because I listen to probably about 25 albums a week. So it's, you know, people ask me about it, and I say, well, you got to kiss a lot of frogs to find those princesses, you know?
This is true, absolutely.
You really do, and you got to hope you don't die of the warts first, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
But I mean, there's a lot of people doing a lot of wonderful things out there, but there aren't a lot of people who can afford to be in the room with people. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you a question, Marty.
Sure.
Since you listen to all those records, have you ever heard of an album called "The Demons Dance Alone" by the Residents?
The Residents, sure.
It's a great album called "Demons Dance Alone."
I'll take a shot at it. I mean, I've heard Residents albums, and to be real honest with you, not a fan.
I
but
know. Trust me, this is a great album.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a shot at anything. I don't have a problem with it. But I have listened to many, quite a few Residents albums before.
Well, a lot of it sounds like noise, but this is an interesting album. This is actually where they were trying pop music.
Devils Dance Alone.
Demons
Dance Alone.
Oh, it's a great record.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate the tip.
You know, getting back to in terms of being a live band and recording music with the band in the studio, one advantage that we have as a family is that all of our timing is very similar. I really get what Dan's about in terms of his timing, and he gets what I'm about. That's rare sometimes, where you get. Sometimes you'll find a bass player, and our bass player knew this in spades, but once in a while they won't lay behind the beat correctly, and I completely understand Dan's timing, and Catherine as well. So that's helpful when you're writing music the way that we write it right now.
Yeah, the problem is that things become mechanical if you don't have that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
true.
You know,
That's
Very
true.
true. Very true.
so yeah. Well, take a look at family bands. I mean, or even if you want to take a look at. Actually, I played something by them tonight. The Tea Club, two brothers, the McGowan brothers. They know what each other are going to do musically before they do it.
Right.
Take a look at, I mean, even more famous acts like the Jacksons, and even the Allman Brothers. Where those guys, you could blindfold them and they could have done it.
And the Bee Gees were a great example of
I
that.
was going
But,
to say the Bee
that's
Gees.
funny that you say that. I was on vacation in New Jersey a couple weeks ago, and there was a night where there was like nothing to do, and there was it was a crappy TV and a little mini resort there. That was it was so. But they had a TV, and I'm like flicking through the stations, and I never watch TV like that. I hardly watch TV at all, but I'm flipping through the stations, and there's on PBS. They were selling memberships, of course,
Right.
But what they were offering as a prize to join was this fantastic Bee Gees collection. It was live,
Wow.
and I knew the Bee Gees from years and years back, and then they went disco and they lost me, and all that kind of stuff. But I was just listening, and what those three guys could do together was absolutely amazing. They were unconscious.
By the way, Marty, me and Dan have to talk to you about your hatred of television, because we are terribly fanatical about television.
Well, what are you? But see, when I was talking about television, I'm talking about just like watching TV, current TV on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I just
I
don't
love
do it.
Netflix and
Well, I
Yeah,
love
but Netflix makes it easier because you have a big choice.
Right.
And see, I have a Netflix account, and I have a login. My wife has a login. My son and my daughter. My son's 30. My daughter's 18. They have a login. Somehow, two of their friends have logins on my account.
oh yeah, of course.
So
Hey,
ask
I
me
need
how
a
many
login,
times.
too.
Ask me how many times I've logged into Netflix.
How many times?
Well,
have
first
you
long,
logged
how long have I been paying for it?
in? How long?
About 5 years. How many times have I logged in and actually watched something on Netflix? Maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens.
Well, this is why a lot of our music is interspersed with all these movie clips. Is our love of movies and television and that kind of media.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
know-
I like good TV. There just isn't that
Baskets.
much. There just isn't much of it on.
Did you hear that, Marty?
Baskets.
No, I didn't. Hear
Baskets.
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 It's on FM. It's what's his name, Dan?
Louis Anderson plays the mother, and
You
Yeah,
already
yeah.
got me. You already got me with Louis
oh,
Anderson playing the
won
mother.
it's an amazing show. It's
Yeah.
it's been on for 3 years, and the last show was on last week, and it was odd, offbeat, not ha funny, no laugh tracks, and Louis Anderson played the mother in the movie, and he played it. It was like the new Aunt B of our
Yep.
time. It
Well,
was-
have you ever seen Mrs. Brown's Boys?
No.
I've heard about it.
Oh my God, you're kidding!
No, I haven't. heard
Oh,
about
it's
that.
BBC. Just go on whatever thing you can find, whatever service you have. Look up Mrs. Brown's Boys. It's it's a classic English sitcom on BBC that is, traditionally in family programs, comedy programs on the BBC, it's done in drag.
Right.
The men always play the women, and this guy, he's a fantastic comedian, plays Mrs. Brown, and she has this horribly dysfunctional family. and of course it's on BBC, so they can say whatever the hell they want to.
That's right.
And it is funny to the point where you need to turn it off because you think you're going to pee yourself or something.
Right.
It is that funny, and they do it in front of a live audience. Like remember they used to do All in the Family
Oh, sure.
in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of vibe that you don't get from current TV. That's all just pasted together,
I'm a monster fan of anything British. So.
Oh yeah, so I'm gonna go for your Residence album. You have to go for Mrs. Brown's Boys and let me know.
Okay.
Okay, because you will die. You'll say you'll call me and you'll say, "Why did you try to kill me?"
I have heard of the show.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They actually now travel in England and Western Europe and do it on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that funny, but it's very bawdy. It's it gets nasty at times, but the reason it's so funny is that it covers a lot of current topics, just like All in the Family kind of did.
Right.
And I don't think you could get away with All in the Family anymore.
Yeah, that's too bad. I love that show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they can. It just has to be done originally, with original thought and new characters, fresh.
I made my 18-year-old daughter watch MASH with me last week.
Oh, God.
I hadn't watched MASH in maybe 15 or 20 years.
Oh, it's a horrible.
I like it.
Oh, I feel like I'm dead watching that show.
Why?
Oh,
Well, that would be you, Dan. Of
it's
course, that would be you.
corny. It's so.
Okay, so Dan. So here you get my exam. Remember when we started talking at 8:55, and I said this could degenerate into anything?
This is where it is.
This is where it's going. Okay, so
Right.
we were talking. Somebody made a couple comments about Three Stooges, just sideways comments about the Three Stooges, and then we went into Marx Brothers and stuff. So Dan, Three Stooges or Marx Brothers?
I have to go Three Stooges, even though they stole all the Marx Brothers material.
Okay. All right.
I got one for you. I got a great one for you, Marty.
Okay.
Twilight Zone or The Outer Limits?
Twilight Zone for me.
Oh,
Really?
my God.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
Dan's a
That's
big
really-
fan
that's
of Outer
sad.
Limits.
I'd like it, but I like Outer Limits. It's not that I don't like it. You know what I mean? It was just done with a little bit of a different twist. Now, did you see the new Twilight Zones when they came back, when Rod Serling came back and did them in color like 15, 20 years later?
Well, there's like 3 different Twilight Zone remakes.
Right.
There's one that they did. Oh my God.
Well, there was the original one.
There's the original one,
And then there was one that was in like 1982, 83, 84.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
And
That's
that
right. I remember
kicked
that.
ass. That
Right,
was
that-
really, really good.
They had some good ones. They had a really good one with Shelley Duvall, with this flying saucer came in, and she was at this big beach party, and this flying saucer hovered over her head and gave her a message, and she kept this message her whole life and wouldn't tell anybody. It was really cool, Twilight Zone, and then they remade it, and they just remade it again about a year ago on Netflix or something. Am I not right? I don't know.
It could be. There's that remake of The Outer Limits.
Yeah,
ended
I
up
have not seen that yet.
That petered out, but there was that one Dan with Bo. What's his name? The brother of oh my gosh.
Bo Bridges.
Yeah,
Bridges.
Bo Bridges. Yeah.
Well, the best one was Tribunal with oh my God, Soup to One. Remember Soup for One? Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Well, Soup for One is a movie.
So there
Yeah.
was somebody in the chat room who loved the album that you suggested. So, but he said the Molly Harvey era was his favorite. So,
For the rest of it?
yeah, and that I should check out Animal Lover.
Yeah, that's pretty good. They've got a really nice song called My Window.
As
It's
long
real
as it's
pretty.
not Sheryl Crow, I'm good.
Oh God, I totally agree with you.
We'll
Oh,
never
my-
forgive. We'll never forgive Sheryl Crow
Oh, never, never. Ugh.
when. Yeah, we'll never forgive Sheryl Crow. We're all Kevin Gilbert fans over here. And,
Yes,
and-
I
Oh
know.
yeah,
and we're
yeah.
you know, I don't think that's something that's forgivable. Although people have told me, people who were close to the situation, told me that I shouldn't feel that way. So, I will defer to people who know much more
Yes.
than I do. But
Well, you put it this way: you really don't know.
yeah,
We don't know exactly what happened. We just don't know. All I know is his music was brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
he
Blowing
was-
that name.
and he was
just-
he was not like prog, but he was
He
like
was new.
He was on the level of Peter Gabriel, in my
He was-
opinion.
Yeah,
Dude.
can you? I consider him the Jim Morrison of Prague because you never know what would have happened.
Yeah.
I know.
You know,
Really well said.
I just really can't imagine, what the music scene could be,
I know.
could have been with
Well said.
with him. So you know what? We're getting real off subject, and the way to get back up on subject is to play some of this music.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play Someday and Drool. I think people who listen to my show have heard both of these songs, but you have a lot of folks listening coming in from the Art in America camp that I know are listening tonight. So I want to make sure I play it for them, and then we'll come back and we're going to talk about the future of art in America. Okay? So Someday and Drool, you are listening to new music from Art in America here on the House of Prog.
Yawn awake, different day, same problem, same old race for time, a daily grind that wears your soul away. Here we go again. Holding on,
surprising when I had to take him to the hospital. He was abusive to his own body.
How much did he drink that day?
I don't know.
And I'm back with the folks of Art in America. And you just heard, I've got a message from somebody. I think they're asking a question. You're going to laugh. Now you're going to laugh. This is funny. So who is messaging me? John Bagel.
Hilarious. We were just talking about you, John.
We were just talking about you. He says, I've known them since high school. Dan was in my first band back in the Stone Age. Ha, ha, ha.
That's funny. We were just talking about you, John. That's hilarious.
So what John is trying to say he had hair.
John is great, man. I had hair too.
Yeah, me too. Hey, I have no reason to talk. I mean, I've got, when I get a haircut, they're talking singular. You know, I mean,
you know what's funny about John Bagel? I mean, he's part of our history.
Remember that he's listening.
He's part of our history. I grew up with him in my gang, you know, junior high to high school to, being with bands and roommate with him at U of M and being in a whole bunch of bands and just, very, very funny guy and really smart.
Yeah, but it's really funny that we were talking about him and all of a sudden he shows up. He's one of those guys. How you doing, John? If you are listening, I know you sent me a message. I don't know if you're actually listening or not. But
he is.
You know how. He's a great guy. You know how to, John. Yeah. So wanted to talk a little bit. Well, first of all, I want to talk about Drool, and actually about Someday too. We just played Someday and then Drool. Those were the last two songs you heard. Could you talk a little bit about Someday, because this is of the, what I would say, the like power five of the songs on the album. This is the like pastoral cut.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. Number one, I had an excellent demo on that that Hentschel was very, very into. And it was, I had a lot of trouble nailing down a lyric that, I had some good lines that we kept. So the lyrics are actually written by my wife. And she's a songwriter herself. She had a record out in 1983. And she's a pretty good lyricist. Pardon me?
That was a good year.
Yeah. Nina Kale. Her name's Nina Kale.
Yeah. And there's not much to say about the song, just a song about hope, you know, that, it's pretty straightforward and it's very emotional, and it was emotional for me, and I was in quite a blue mood at that time of my life. I was broke, I was divorced and raising children, and it was a depressing time for me, and so that song reflects that. But it also has a moment in the song where it just, pretty much the whole song, I guess, is just about getting a break at some point. And I don't mean a financial break or anything, just maybe just arriving and finally getting to a point where I'm comfortable with where I'm at in life. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody goes through that, you know?
Yeah, at one time or another, for sure.
Yeah.
And John is still listening. He just messaged me. He says, I know. Okay. He goes, I know I'm psychic, still listening. You're in trouble, Dan. You're getting a phone call after this.
Yeah. Dan's he always gets in trouble.
Well, that's good.
He's a bad boy.
Speaking about trouble, how about Drool?
Okay, Drool. Song about our father. Mostly about our father and just interspersed with wild lines of mania. Alcoholism, our father kind of struggled with that his whole life, but he was a hell of a guy and a very nice man. And so the song is about that.
People have, see, I'm a social worker, so I have less problems with this. But people really, a lot of times, have trouble separating who people are from what they do. Mm-hmm. And that's a struggle.
Yeah. As we talked about it during one of the breaks, our father was a social worker, and he spent his life giving back to society. And he was a success, and it was success with his family, and a wonderful father. He was a binge drinker, and boy, when he drank, he really drank. And so the song kind of takes you there. And I still drink, but not like that. But
Well, and
you know,
it's a disease too. I mean, it's something he fought all his life, and it eventually killed him. But I mean, so if you're a child of an alcoholic, that influences your life as well, and it has an impact as well.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. I mean, I remember coming back from doing the vocal in that one, and you don't really maybe hear it in my singing, but that one took something out of me to do, and I came back kind of wasted, just from the emotion of channeling him on that song.
Yeah.
So I remember telling my wife that I was just wasted from it. And
You
there's
get psychically, exhausted, emotionally exhausted.
and there's some great clips in there. There's a clip from, of course, Sling Blade, and there's a clip from a John Candy movie, and a clip from Face Off, I think it was, and just all kinds of clips.
Wasn't W.C. Fields too?
No, I don't think W.C. Fields is in that one. I don't think so. I don't remember putting that in there. But I just
Frankly,
like,
he'd rather be in Philadelphia, right?
you know what I like? I loved that when the Beatles did it, and I've ever since liked to do that once in a while. I guess you can overdo it sometimes, and some of my songs really overdo it. But I use the acid program, and I get those in time with the music, those lines. So I quantize the line with the music, so it's perfectly in time with it.
Yeah, it is in sync.
Yeah.
It's almost like an accompaniment to the lyrics for the song.
Yeah. Well, it's just
But
mixed
a lot
media.
Of, but a lot of people, when they do that kind of stuff, they just throw it up. You know what I mean? They just throw it out there. You do that very well. I think Mark Truax does that incredibly well as well with United Progressive Fraternity. I think he does that incredibly well. But that's an art. That's an art in itself. To actually, first of all, know what to put in there. And second of all, to sync it up the right way that it does what you want it to do and not just, sits there like a turd.
Yeah.
Because, boy, I've heard some stuff that sits there like a turd.
Oh, I bet.
And it makes me think. It makes me think too. It's like a layer of texture. So I used to love listening to Firesign Theater, and they would have all this textural stuff going on in the background. So if you had quadraphonic tape player and you could hear all the, if you really sat there, if you were tripping or not tripping, you would pick up on all the different levels of things going on. And so Chris's songs, some of those have some of those levels going on.
Yeah, I mean, there is a difference when an artist releases something, whether it's just a bunch of songs or it's a piece of art. And this album, to me, falls into the latter category. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that's pretty good. But it's different when you run into something, and that's what I was talking about, the frogs and the princesses. You got to kiss a lot of frogs to find those princesses. Your album's a princess. That's a compliment.
Thank you.
I've always believed in my brother. Always.
Speaking of art, I wanted to give a shout out to Johannes. He did our first album cover, and on the Art in America, the first album. And then we sought him out to do the album artwork on this one. And then on the inside, Dan did I call it the Ribbon Man, but there's some interesting art in there that's actually printed on the CD itself. So it's a bit of a collector's item. It's got a packet.
And guess who was one of my biggest influential artists was John Bagel, because he's a really good artist. I kid you not. I was totally influenced by John Bagel's artwork.
Yeah, it's nice to have, band members doing some art. I'd like to see John's group do some more of that.
Oh, yes. John Bagel,
Yeah,
do your
he's
next
got a
art.
bunch of slackers in that group too.
Oh, man. John,
Ted,
John
are you
is
listening,
really
Ted?
John Bagel, I swear to God, John is one of the best painters and watercolor painters I've ever seen.
See,
Wow.
so now that could go on the
So
that
let
could
me
go on his
let me
booklet.
play something for you. This takes 1.3 seconds. Okay, here you
Okay.
go.
This horse shit.
Did you hear it? No, didn't hear it.
No,
Oh, well,
no.
Damn, I don't know why. I've got to fix that. But what would happen? I do something on this show once every 4 or 5 months. I haven't done it for 6 months now, but it's called the Progressive Coffee House, where artists come on and just like you are via Skype, and they do usually acoustic performances from their living room, studio, bathroom. I don't care, but it's done live via Skype, and it's more like the old coffee houses used to be. It kind of lo-fi, because that's what you get from Skype,
Sure.
and it's never perfect, but people come on, and I'll have like 3 or 4 artists for the evening, and they'll take like 20 minutes, a half hour a piece, and they'll play stuff. The first one I did, I had a couple people play, and then I had Rachel Flowers play. And she did this thing on piano, this piano piece that was completely ridiculous. I mean, completely ridiculous. The people were crying listening to it,
Oh, cool.
And then I had Ted. And he comes on, and the first thing he said was, "This is horse shit."
Whoa!
He goes, "There you go. You put me on after this one. I'm going to play something in 4/4. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go on an acoustic guitar 4/4. Yeah. So he played. So he played "Fuck You" by CeeLo, acoustic version. So yeah,
Right.
Ted and I go way back, and they played Prog Stock. Enchant played Prog Stock the first year, so he was with us, and been with him on the boat a couple times too. But yeah.
What boat? The Prague cruise boat?
Yeah, Cruise to the
Oh.
Edge. I
Yeah.
the last 2 years I ran the music store on the ship during the cruise.
They
I'm
were
not
they were
gonna do
talking
that
about
again.
us doing one of those, but
Ooh. It's a cool
they were
thing.
they do a lot of talking. They.
No,
Yeah.
I thought you're seasick.
And they talk to everyone, and it's difficult because of that. And then a lot of times you'll see a lot of the same bands on there sometimes. This year looks like they've got like 18 new bands though. I mean, that's
Wow.
for them that's really pretty good.
Yeah,
So-
it's good to get some new music in there.
But it's also exhausting. I mean, completely exhausting working on a cruise when you're 60 years old. So I'm not
Yep.
going to, I can't
Yep.
do 15, 16 hours a day anymore. So I am not going to do it this year. But yeah, so I got to know those guys a little bit too. So wanted to talk about where art in America is going. So, I mean, you talked already about having 2 and 3 and 4 maybe more albums worth of material out there that may be available. Have you guys built a little bit of a roadmap for what you want to do? Because it's been a long time.
Right.
I have made wild ideas, and I think our ideas would to get on the radio. Get on the radio.
Yeah,
Well-
the problem is that very few adults listen to terrestrial radio anymore.
I know.
They're listening. They're listening to, and see, I don't, because I don't know. I was one of those people who always thought that radio should be free, kind of things. But in the subscription, field.
Right,
I mean,
sure. They're doing Spotify. They're doing Pandora. They're doing
No,
all
I'm
that.
talking about really more of the subscription services.
Oh, okay.
The like in your car kind of thing.
Oh.
I mean, there's like 3 or 4 of them.
Shoot.
And they have like nobody really has a prog channel though, which is kind of really interesting. There were a couple of them that had semi close to that, but none of them has bitten the bullet and gone full force like we do. So we're on internet radio, House of Prog, and we play progressive music of one sort or another 24/7. We have
That's
a stream.
awesome.
We have a stream that plays 24/7, and we have, I think, 13 live shows during the week where we have program
That's awesome.
hosts who do that. But I mean, and now we're in TuneIn Radio and things like that, so you can get us anywhere in the world, anywhere you can get the internet, you can get us. But and now we broadcast at 320 kbps, which is like more than twice as good as FM radio ever was.
Wow.
So we give you better sound. So I mean, that's out there for people. So the question is, who's listening to radio in the age range that would be interested in the music? And it's become a real quandary for the music industry. Who are you targeting and how? Because, I mean, Madonna and Beyonce and those people, I mean, when you talk to record companies, they will tell you that they are targeting the 12-year-old girl.
Wow.
That's what they're targeting. And your music is way, way too intelligent for that.
I think that's what they call narrowcasting.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to shoot for our audience, which I guess is a prog audience, even though we're not straight prog.
Right. That's fine.
And we're gonna hit promotion for a lot of the different prog sites and prog magazine and that kind of that ilk.
And when we get off the air, I want to give you some information about other prog radio as well.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay,
Thanks.
because we have brother and sister stations pretty much all over the world, and especially in Europe. So I think you guys would do really, really well in Western Europe, like a lot of the American bands do. So we'll talk about that off the air.
We have some fans in Japan, and we have Italy and Greece, Brazil.
I'm like Tom Waits, man.
Yeah, well,
I
it's
am
interesting.
so big in Japan.
Well, what's interesting is on our website, artinamericamusic.com, we get really interesting from all over the world. We get a lot of different, and of course it's translated, but we get the strangest requests. But it's kind of cool when you reach a wider audience than the United States. Then you're like, then you really get excited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there, and progressive music is actually much, much bigger in Western Europe than it is here, and of course, Japan.
Right.
Yeah. Well, getting back to your point about the future, one of my goals is to I work a job where I work basically 12 hours a day, and it's from door to door. It's a 12-hour day. So my big goal right now is to free up some time for Art in America, and I am just carpet bombing my resume all over the place. Now, I'm an older guy, and I don't have much work life left anyways, but I would like for the next couple of years to find something much simpler. I'm an analyst, and that's just getting to be a stressful job for me.
Financial analyst?
It's HMO.
Oh, okay.
And I do testing. I do testing quality analysis, and it's hairy for me, and it's not fun. I can do it because I'm a pretty smart guy, but I'm tired of it. So that's my goal, is to free up time, and I want to go back to Detroit and get some drums and harp recorded, and then we'll talk about. The thing is that we're all getting up in years. We want to do some shows, that's for sure. It's just being realistic about what to expect in terms of how much we want to play. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
that's reasonable.
But I mean, some live shows would be great.
Okay. That's always fun.
Yep.
And the truth is anymore, and it's so funny. We talk about not losing too much money.
Yeah.
instead of making money.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Just not
Right.
losing too much, you know.
Right.
Losing only enough that you can still do it comfortably, you know. And
Yeah.
that's why you see all these you know, online people crowdfunding and
Yeah.
things like that to try to help. So
I mean,
Yeah.
I think the band Marillion makes a living, but most of the prog bands are working people.
Yes,
I would think.
just about everybody is. Now they may be working in music, but it may be other facets of music.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, you got to earn some money some way, unless
Oh,
you're retired.
I
That's a whole
was
other
talking
story.
I was talking to the guys from IQ. One of them makes all, you know, they're like, because he has a studio and he's a he has his own record company and all that kind of stuff. But I was talking to other people in the band. Well, I'm going to be doing much more with the band now because I'm retiring.
Yeah.
Right.
That's-
You know, so
Yeah, that's why Dan and I, we have our job is going to be to promotion, and of course we're the two who are the worst Luddites of all with technology, but we're going to try.
yeah, I mean, it's like you know, my friends who do the same kind of thing that I do, either the radio stuff or promotion stuff. It's like we talk to artists and they get us off the air and say, "Hey, do you know anybody who can do the business end of this for me?"
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And isn't that funny? Every artist wants
Without
that.
fail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you could just find somebody you can trust to handle the business end and
Yes.
the PR end so that you can take your time doing the music, you know, then everything would be cool. The problem is that there's so many rip-off artists out there. So I think what's going to go on is my friends and I, and we've already talked about it, when we retire, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah,
We're gonna try to do the business end for musicians.
well, that'd be awesome.
Oh my God.
You want a job?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I had somebody call me up about a year and a half ago. I won't say who it was, and say, "Hey, you know, we want to do a small tour of the U.S. And we've decided you're going to be our the manager for the trip."
Uh-huh.
And I said, "That's
Yeah.
really nice, and I'd love to do that, except I have a job."
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I can't. I would love to do that, and I could do it, but I mean, yeah, I'm trapped in the same circle you're. Now I love my job, you know, but at the same time, I understand the utility at some point of moving on from it, and so
Well, you know what I think? I think that the internet has kept our band alive, and it kept a lot of bands alive.
the internet has
And-
kept prog alive.
Yes.
In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
the internet. If it wasn't for the internet, we we certainly wouldn't be talking because this is internet radio. But I think prog would be dead
Yes,
if it
It
wasn't
would be.
for the internet.
it would be, and that's that's a good thing. And
And a bad thing. Yeah, I know.
yes, yes. But you know, I can weed through the bad things. I mean,
Yeah, I
just,
could live with those bad things, right?
mhm.
Yeah. Well, everything has its downside. You know, not there's no full upside to anything, and there's you know, hey, and your sister will tell you there's a yin and a yang,
Human drama.
right?
Oh,
There's a yin and a yang. I mean, there can't be one without the other. So, you know, there's a balance, and you got to find the balance. And that's what life is about, is finding that balance.
Yeah, that's
what
all.
that's what IMI was about.
Right,
Right.
that's the whole universe is yin and yang.
Right.
It requires things to be nasty and horrible.
And
It's
isn't that sad?
Yeah, but that's how you find beauty.
That's true.
My wife's big time into Eastern religion, and Dan and I both follow Alan Watts. Have you heard of him?
Mhm. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
kind of big.
I-
Dan is the one who turned me on to him, and he's got a whole bunch of videos and books as well, and quite a philosopher.
I love Western philosophers. I just love them. You know, Kierkegaard.
Eastern.
Eastern or Western?
Western, Kierkegaard. Oh my God.
I thought we were going straight into a discussion about Firefly.
Oh, I got a better one.
Because I got you on Firefly, right?
Yes.
What's Firefly? Wasn't paying attention.
God!
I'm not sure I was paying attention.
Okay,
at that
so
point.
Chris does not know what Firefly is.
Tell him, Marty.
Dan, this is your job. He's your brother. You got to take care of him. There was a show that only went, I think, 13 episodes, and it is called Firefly. And what's his name? Who was the guy? He's a famous actor now. Was the main character, and Marina Beckera was. She played a prostitute in it, but it's a Western science fiction series.
Wow.
It's a Western.
Huh.
Yeah, that's like that remake of Westworld, which
No,
I
no,
just
no,
found
no,
be
no,
horrid.
no. This is incredible. The characters are incredible. It only went 13 episodes, and it got knocked off the air. And then there was this hue and cry from all the fans, and then it became a cult following about 3 years after they canceled it. So that it got so bad that in order to tie up all the loose ends, they had to do a movie to tie up all the loose ends. So there's a Firefly movie that finishes the series. But yeah, it was bizarre. And now I guarantee you this Labor Day weekend, one of the syndicated channels like TBS or one of those, or science fiction network, sci-fi network or whatever,
Sci-fi, yeah.
will play the entire Firefly series. I can guarantee you'll see it this weekend on TV.
Huh.
All
They'll
right,
play the
I
whole
will check
thing.
it out.
Uh,
I'm writing it down, and I'm going to hold you.
It is so good.
I have
You're
heard
gonna-
of that. I've heard of
Well, you're going to get emails from me, and you're going to be in big trouble if that's
Yeah.
a bad.
No, it isn't bad, and even the music is good.
it. That's
Okay.
important to me. Good musical scores.
It's what's his name? The composer that did all the spaghetti westerns.
Oh my God.
You know who I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
That's what the music is.
DeLanteris?
No.
It's a real Italian
Yeah,
name.
it's an Italian guy. It's spaghetti westerns.
Yes.
He did tons of soundtracks to the old Clint
With the
Eastwood
whistles.
movies, and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Spaghetti Western was they whistle through the song. Dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good, bad, and the ugly. All
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Clint Eastwood.
Sergio Menendez.
What?
Sergio.
No. Wrong. Wait, I wish I had a buzzer or something. Wrong. Okay, now you're going to make me go to Google. But,
Yeah, really, you got
Sergio
that's your
Leone.
fingertips.
no. But I should know that. I should really know that. I'm ashamed of myself.
I thought it was Sergio Leone.
No. If you just go to Google and put spaghetti western music in. Spaghetti?
Well, you got people in the chat room, right? They should
Yeah, I
be-
bet you I haven't looked at it. I should use them. Composer.
I'm looking it
There
up.
we go.
I'm looking it up. Spaghetti Western.
Ennio Morricone.
Oh.
I don't know that name.
Really? Oh, he did all those things. But the funny thing is, like, now I'm sitting on Google. It says spaghetti western music composers, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 out of the 11 of them are Italian.
Wow.
Yeah, but Ennio Morricone is the big one that I was thinking. But that's what the music. Yeah, and see, somebody did. Michael in the chat room, he did, but he used the right. He said Enrico Morricone. And
Actually,
he's correct.
wow.
The actor in Firefly, the lead actor is Nathan Fillion.
Okay.
I like the more melancholy type
It
composers. For example, like who did the score for To Kill a Mockingbird.
Bernstein.
Yeah.
Elmer
Yeah,
Bernstein.
I
Elmer
love-
Bernstein. Right.
Oh,
Elmer.
I love that kind of
Elmer,
music.
Elmer Bernstein?
Elmer.
Elmer
Yeah, not
Bernstein
Leonard. Yeah, Elmer.
Okay.
is lesser known brother.
Arnold. His lesser known brother is Arnold Bernstein. And he was actually a barber. What would they say? People say that all I learned from classical music was what I saw in Bugs Bunny cartoons. You know? The barber of Seville.
Oh,
you know?
I've heard that. Oh, yes. Many times.
Yeah. And that's really Prague.
Actually,
That's my
funny.
big love.
That's what's interesting about that is that our mom always was playing classical music for us and took us to concerts and symphony, and and I think that had an influence on our music, especially way back in the early Father days, and then it evolved into more of the rock and roll prog stuff, but initially it was very heavily influenced by classical music.
Oh, our grandmother was a keyboard player for the Cleveland Orchestra. Remember?
Yeah, she was a pianist. Yep.
Name dropper.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
well, I got to tell you, in my house, it was all like the Rodgers and Hammerstein
Yep.
musicals.
Big time. Big time.
Harry,
Chris.
Harry Belafonte.
Chris is big time into the musicals.
Yeah, I'm into musicals. I'm really into classical. That's all I listen to, really, now. I used to just listen to prog and fusion, like Chick Corea stuff and Return to Forever and Weather Report. But nowadays, I mostly listen to classical because it just works better with my brain for whatever reason. But in fact, one of our songs on the album has two lifted sections from a George Butterworth. Yeah, Butterworth from England, from two of his works, from the Shropshire Lad and Banks of a Green Willow.
I just got a message from somebody on Facebook, and I'm going to respect it.
Mm-hmm.
They want me to play the new Swami,
Okay.
and they want you to talk about it.
Okay,
Can we do that?
sure.
Okay. Now, I have heard the song. I don't know what their motivation is, but let's indulge them. So this is from the new Art in America album called Cloudborn. And this track is called The New Swami. And when we come back, we'll talk about it. This is the House of Prog.
It's gonna be alright. The new Swami swells the pole tonight.
And we're back. I'm back with the fine folks of Art in America. And we had kind of a request from somebody on Facebook who asked us to play a specific piece called The New Swami, and wanted to know much more about this song if he could find out. So, Chris, I'm throwing that out to you.
Okay, well, it's about living in Los Angeles. It's a lot of clever wordplay, and reading anything more into the lyrics than that is almost pure silliness. A lot of this is just wordplay. It's kind of what Lennon used to talk about, what he did for Come Together and I Am a Walrus. Mm-hmm. There are lines about living in Los Angeles in this song, mm-hmm. but that's not the way that I write. Sentences just sort of present themselves, and they sing really well. And you have a word like a Wim Vegan dines on pepper steak. That just, to me, just popped out, and it sang beautifully. So, it's about a vegan. He's now eating steak. Okay, I mean, what's that mean? Well, it's just silliness. It's just my impressions about living in a city that everybody is into religions from over there.
It's cool. It's a cool lyric.
It's
and
just,
you also talk a little bit about It's also talks about the time with OJ and stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're investing the rest of your money, when you've lost all your money, or you take it to the racetrack and invest in the Daily Double, mm-hmm. And you yearn to act for Disney Cable, or you look for love at OJ's table.
But what happens at OJ's table?
Yeah,
it's not a good thing.
It's not. It's a dangerous table.
Yes,
you drink the wine.
Or the Kool-Aid.
Right. Exactly.
To me, I mean, it's
Kool-Aid with wine.
There's not a lot of I don't know how to put this. I mean, I'm just poking fun at Los Angeles mostly in this song.
Okay.
But at the same time, I espouse to some of the things about the Hindu religion and some of the tenets of Buddhism, especially Buddhism and Zen and Taoism. So, and I have a wife that's deep into that stuff, and we talk about it all.
Oh, yeah, but Chris, I think the song doesn't take itself too seriously. It's
no, it
fun.
Doesn't. It's comedy. It's total comedy.
Yeah. Oh, and yes.
It's meant to be funny.
Okay.
And same thing with the song "Don't Look Down" on the album. It's meant to be funny. It's just a sexist, vapid piece of crap, but it's a great rock song. But the lyrics are vapid. It's just about picking somebody up at a bar. I mean, I hope people don't read too much into that.
Whores.
Oh, the terror. Oh, the terror.
My God, that's a terrible thing.
Oh, the pain.
So I think some of the what I would call some of the poopy people, who the ultra serious, like the people you found on Progressive Ears sometimes, would would think that, oh my God, this is prog. It's supposed to be serious. I have just one word for that: bullshit.
Exactly.
And I would point them.
Wait, isn't that 2 words?
I would. True. You are absolutely correct. It's actually a compound word, but I would point them straight to Frank Zappa.
Yes.
I would, point them to some of the sillier things that Genesis and Gentle Giant did, purposely.
Yes.
And I would also point to some of the new bands that people may enjoy. There's one band lately from Spain that I just love these guys. I don't know them, but they're called Cheetos Magazine.
Oh,
great
they
title.
are amazing, and they are hysterical.
I remember the name Cheetos. absolutely heard that
Yeah,
name.
Cheetos magazine. Like,
Yeah.
and they have a song on the new album. It's called Cheese Cheater.
It's like really popular right now, I think, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about how popular, but I got to tell you, I'd love to see them. You know what I mean? I'd love to see that band live.
Yes.
What's
yes.
the name of the band again? I'm writing
Cheetos
this-
magazine. They're
Okay.
actually playing at Progtoberfest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's right. That's right. I got the new Prog magazine,
Yeah,
by the
that's
way.
that's about the only one that I'd want to see at that festival, unfortunately. But they are playing first time in the United States. So if you can get there, go. You know, especially if you're in Detroit, that's a nice little trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, funny as hell. I mean, there's no reason, you know, people just like, you know, they like their soup a certain way, you know, they like their damn prog a certain way.
Yes, that's very true.
And
That's
if it
very
doesn't
true.
fit into that little box, they don't like it. And
Yes,
it's supposed
I'm
to
that
be,
way.
it's supposed
I'm
to be
guilty.
progressive.
I'm guilty, though. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, but
That's-
it's supposed to be
that's true.
I'm
progressive.
guilty. I know, but I'm guilty of that, too. I mean, I have a box that I want my
I
prog
do
to fit
too.
in.
I do too,
You know
and
what
I
I mean?
got to admit, I mean, so what's outside? What's outside your box?
Pop, and normalcy, and and cop. I don't like when people copy prog. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Follow all the rules. I sort of like to hear. I just want to hear really good songwriting, and what Yes did and Relayer. That was so progressive and so original. You know what I mean? Come
That's
on.
But
true,
you know where
that's true.
I do draw the line some places though too. I draw the line where you make up your own language and do things just for the hell of it.
Well, who does that?
It's-
The
He had
resident-
to ask me, right?
Oh, the resident.
I'll come right out and say it. I
It's a
don't care.
setup.
I have a damn radio show. I don't care. The name of the band is Magma.
Is what?
Magma.
I
Oh,
heard a magma.
I
That's
cannot listen to.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you something. I've tried many times to listen to it. It's not like I haven't tried, you know, because I listen to a lot of stuff, and I like a lot of different kind of stuff, you know, and not even just in the progressive world. In the I'm big into folk music. You know, I like all kinds of stuff, but when you just like pretentiously, you know, make up your own language and
yeah.
and play things in 713 because you can,
Right.
you know, it doesn't do anything for me. Because
Right.
Guess what gets lost? What we talked about at the beginning of this, the songs.
Right.
It's on the
Can
page.
you get up? So I can guarantee you that Chris could get up with an acoustic guitar, okay, and he could play Drool
Or you could play for
as,
Shelley.
as,
That's another
as
one.
almost a folk song,
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you should be able to do that with any song.
that's true.
You should, because otherwise, is it really a song, or is it something just all strung together?
Good.
To
I'm getting.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's
Where is
like,
it?
it's like, it's
That's
like,
valid sometimes, depending on.
But
how
but
good
now
it is.
what you're saying, and I understand exactly what you're saying, is because and you can relate this to classical music. Very hard to do that with a piece of classical music
Yeah.
because
Right.
there's just too many nuances. There's just too much stuff. But
A couple of my favorite songs on the album are straight ballads, like for Shelley and When We Were Young, and they're very nostalgic and sweet, and you could play it just with either just harp or maybe just acoustical guitar. Which the one song Chris wrote for a funeral, he whipped it out in one night, and for this funeral for a good friend of ours, and to be played the next day, and it's very sweet and very touching, and that's the kind of stuff that I like to play on and like to do. And
you
then
can
that does
expand
stand on
upon
its own.
it, and you can do all kinds of things to it. But underneath it all, there's a song.
Right.
Yes.
And
human
the
feeling.
stuff I'm talking about is I can't find the song.
Right. Right.
I just
Right.
can't find anything with any. And they say, well, it's avant-garde. Well, okay. There's some avant-garde stuff that I really, really like. You know.
Kind of like
But there's a
Yoko
song
screaming. There's no
underneath
song there.
But there's a song underneath there. Somewhere.
Mhm.
And I can find it if I need to. You know. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think that's one of the things about us that we've never really gotten full acceptance in the prog community for that reason. We're primarily songwriters, and this is not. Most of these songs are not long songs. They're pretty short and to the point.
They don't need to be.
Yeah, and it's just, to me, that's what they indicate. They don't indicate to be 7-minute songs. If they indicated that to me, they would be a 7-minute song.
Exactly. If that's what it was, then that's what it would be.
It just,
But it isn't.
yeah,
Right.
to me, once I've said it all, I've said everything that I want to say. I don't need a 5-minute breakout section. I've already gone there, and I've already stated the emotion, and I've been emotional, and I've done this thing, and I feel like it's time to end it now on a high note.
But as you said before, though, too, when you get to play some of these things live,
Right.
that's where the extensions can come in.
That's exactly right.
That's certainly the goal.
Yeah, yeah.
He said dejectedly.
Well, no, that it's opportunity issues.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and work issues
Right.
and life issues and
And
That's
age.
right.
Yeah.
and what?
Age.
Oh, bullshit.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
unless
Thank you
unless
for
you're
calling
not
me out.
healthy. You know.
No, we're all healthy.
Well, well, then it's time.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, time is an artificial construct that is used so that we don't go insane.
Oh,
Isn't that
what
the
a
truth?
fast-
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Then you need more time to think about it.
Depends what depends
What time
you,
is?
depends what you dropped or what you smoked.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. That's far
What you
back in
drank.
time, though. Unfortunately, I
yes,
was just
way
watching.
back
my,
in
my
time.
my wife just sent me something on Facebook today. Evidently, Tommy Chong is back in the stand-up business again,
Oh, God.
Oh, no!
God.
and she sent me like a 2-minute clip that was hysterical.
Oh my God.
Yeah, poor
Oh.
Tommy got into a lot of trouble. So
I know, and it's not fair. It wasn't. Come on.
it was
Okay.
because of time.
Yes!
It wasn't the right time,
Time was not on his side.
and then he did time.
It was not on his
Then he
side.
had to do time.
Right. Right.
You know, don't screw
Time
with the
heals
U.S.
all
mail.
wounds.
Don't ever screw with the U.S. mail. Don't ever do it. You know, you can do lots of things, but those guys will spend $1 million to recover 15 cents. You don't want to.
I know.
Yep.
For
You
sure.
don't want to mess with them.
I'm just
Right.
totally enjoying Dan chortling in the background. It's been a while since I've been with you,
Love
Dan.
that word. Chortling is a great word.
Well,
I
what I said when I proposed this interview is that it was going to be a conversation of us sitting down, and the topic might go just about anywhere, and I think it pretty much has.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
gone from Godzilla to the Marx Brothers, but we all have homework,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? We
Yes.
have homework. Firefly.
Yeah.
I have to listen to a Residence album.
And
Yes.
I'm gonna go listen to Magma.
You're gonna love
Yeah,
that.
and see, you got to
you're-
see what I was talking about.
I do.
Listen to
I've
the
got-
album with the word commando with a
with
K
a great drummer.
in the title.
Great drummer.
Okay.
That drummer is
Now,
so good.
now I must say though, okay, so I'm going to say something in favor of Magma. Their drummer is possibly one of the greatest
best.
drummers of all time.
Oh, incredible! I love that guy.
Right.
I
His name is
mentioned myself that-
Christian Vander.
Oh, he's incredible. He's got so much charisma, Chris. You've
Yeah.
got to see this guy.
Yeah, I will check
Yeah,
him out.
I mean,
Oh my
but
God.
I think the music is terrible.
But he's not.
Oh, he isn't. He's absolutely amazing,
Oh yeah.
but I
absolutely.
don't like his music.
Christian,
but-
what is it?
but
What's
he-
the drummer's
Christian
name again?
Vander.
Vander. Okay.
Oh yeah. He looks like me, Chris. About my age, man. It's incredible. He's great.
Yeah, he really is. So I do have
Oh, yeah.
to say that, you know, but I will say that you will really enjoy Firefly. It's one of those where you want to give it a couple episodes. You'll notice some people in there that you know. All of the people on Firefly have gone on, just about all of them have gone on to great careers. And
That's kind of like Twilight Zone and Outer Limits. All those
Yep.
guys did the same thing.
Yep.
yeah, but this
So
isn't
what-
a revolving crew. This is like the same people all the
Right,
time.
right.
But it is a Western. It's a space Western.
I have heard of it. You know,
And-
I just
It's a beautiful
watched
thing,
it.
and the characters in it are amazing, and it's not necessarily post apocalyptic, not necessarily, but it is in a future dimmer, kind of thing. Some of the pieces of the culture remain, and some of them don't, but a lot of the Western culture has applied because it's on like a fringe area of the galaxy or something like that, where they just don't have a lot of stuff.
Oh,
So yeah, so it's like almost Wild Wild West kind of thing, and they are basically criminals that look
rogues,
for
outcast rogues.
yeah, they're looking to survive because there was a revolution of sorts, and they were on the losing side. The brown coats were on the losing side. So that's what, and yeah. So it's not a happy-go-lucky kind of thing, but
lost
it's
me,
very
Marty.
very interesting.
What
What?
did you say? What
I
Dan?
said you lost me, Marty.
No, I think you'd
I
really
got
like
lost
it.
there.
I think you'd really
the
like it.
Broncos. What? I will. I have to watch it. Sorry.
Watch a couple episodes. Go
I'm
through
gonna.
your program guide and look for Firefly, and you'll find it.
Okay, we have our homework.
And
so,
and the new Star Trek series.
Oh, that
Discovery.
Oh,
All right.
Discovery is the
Man.
bomb.
okay, so permission to come back another time and discuss these homework assignments.
Yes, we can do
Okay.
that. We can do
Granted.
that. So
Okay.
how about
Granted.
this? How about this? In the future, in the next 4, 5, 6 months, after Prog Stock, after I get out of the way of everything, you guys come back and how about we'll do a show together where we play your music and other people who you like, and I'll insert some people that I'd like you to hear.
oh, that'd be interesting.
That's great. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Absolutely.
That sounds good. Can you tell people where they can get your album?
Yes. So they can get it on CD Baby Store
Okay.
is one place. And if they go to our website, artinamericamusic.com, you will see right when you log in, you'll see you can get it on iTunes, you can get it by clicking on those links. CD Baby is, the way, how they work. You send in stock, and it's kind of weird, but if you can't get it immediately on CD Baby, just fill out the form on the website, and I will personally send a copy.
Okay.
You know what?
And
It's
how about
not available.
electronically?
What?
It's available on Google Play, Amazon. It's just the album, the actual physical CD is not up on Amazon yet, and I don't know why it's not. It's been a month.
It's
Okay.
not.
It's not. So that's why you got to go to CD Baby or order it directly from us.
Okay.
And there was another version of this album that actually had a different lineup, a different song order, and it's a lousier bit rate. And that's still up in there, and I yanked that off of TuneCore last month, so I don't know why that is still on Amazon. But
Yeah, be careful if you order it that you're ordering the correct one.
yeah, the one that's up there on CD up on Amazon right now is not the correct one. It's not the Digipack.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
you want the
but-
collector's edition Digipack.
Okay.
But I will say this: the MP3s are up on Amazon, and those sound spectacular. They're in 320. They're at 320 kbps,
Okay.
and they just sound spectacular. They sound in some ways better than when you listen to the CD.
So can I ask you, because somebody's asking me if they're available in high res anywhere?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'd have to go to Hentschel. I'd have to get his 6 songs in high res.
Okay.
He just sent me WAV files on those, and that would, that'd be something we'd love to do. We just, we'd have to get sponsorship by a record company to do something like that.
Okay.
Maybe if Inside Out ever got an interest in us, then, we could, if we could cut a deal with them, then we'd love that to happen.
Okay. I've got a message for you from the chat room. It says, if Chris likes classical music, and if he wants to take on Magma, tell him to think more Carl Orff.
Oh, Carmina Burana. Yeah.
Right. More on that level.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I love Orff's. That's the one that they played in the movie The Omen.
Mm-hmm. That scared the living crap out of me.
Yeah, that's an awesome piece of music.
Yeah.
It's all choir. It's amazing.
Yeah. That movie scared the living hell out of me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially one with Gregory Peck. That's the good one.
Yeah. The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Annie.
Annie the musical?
Yes, that was terrifying.
It had one great song though, that Tomorrow song. That's a great song.
That was
Oh,
really good.
my.
Well, what I can tell you is tomorrow on the House of Prog at 9 a.m. we have Andy Jackson and his show.
Okay.
And then at about 1 o'clock we have DJ Tony, who has a great show on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the Viking in the Wilderness hits at about 4 o'clock, and then Two Hoppies, Earth, Wind, and Stars at 8 o'clock. And then on Sunday morning, we have the best damn jazz show in the solar system, and we know that because our program host is from Pluto.
Bitchin'.
Isn't it?
Bitchin'.
It's not a planet anymore, but he's from there anyway.
Well, it's honorary.
Yeah, yeah. So I want everybody to stay tuned to the House of Prog for the weekend. If we had a dial like on the FM radio, and you could like break it off so that all you have is the House of Prog, you'd have a really, really good weekend. So we have a 24/7 stream of progressive rock at 320 kbps, the best sound you can imagine. Next week, within the next 2 weeks, I am hoping that I'm going to have an interview with the Psychedelic Ensemble. And hopefully within a couple weeks, the Tea Club as well. So I want to thank you guys for being with me. I want to hold you up and stay a little bit after the show for a second so I could talk to you about something. Okay. But I want everybody to have a great holiday weekend. And we'll see you next week in the waiting room of the House of Prog, and we'll do something else crazy. So have a great weekend, folks. You're listening to the waiting room of the House of Prog.